Hey sis, welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, I'm Monique and I help Christian women over 40 turn their corporate experience into profitable coaching businesses without the hustle culture nonsense. So listen, in my last video, I told you why I left corporate after 20 plus years. But today I'm going to tell you about the moment. The moment. Actually, it's two moments that happened back to back that made me realize if I don't leave this corporate world right now, I may not survive it. And I know I'm being a little dramatic, but literally my health felt like I just really felt like I was having a panic attack. And I need to warn you that this story may trigger you because it's not just about me burning out. It's about corporate showing me exactly who they are, actually twice, and me finally believing them like I was in a bad relationship or something. So if you've ever felt like you're going crazy because you can see the problems clear as day, but leadership refuses to listen to you, if you've ever been punished for speaking your truth in corporate, if you've ever had to choose between your job and your family's safety, then sis, this one's for you. So let's get into it. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to the Launch Your Coaching Ministry podcast. I am Monique Addison-Stinson. And listen, here's the truth. Corporate may have given you a title, but God gave you a calling. If you're a Christian woman over 40 who's ready to stop tying your worth to your job and step into your God-given ministry, then this is your space. I show you how to package your corporate skills into kingdom work and get paid for it. Listen, my mom taught me something very powerful. If I don't bet on myself, who will? Now I help women just like you stop making excuses and start making moves, turning your experience into the coaching ministry God's been preparing you for this whole time. So, are you ready to launch? Let's go, sis. So let me take you back to 2020, and I'm working as a regional human resources business partner for a major pharmacy chain. Good role, good money, traveling constantly to different stores, doing trainings, supporting leadership teams, doing performance reviews. And then the pandemic hits. Everything shuts down. Travel gets suspended. We all go remote. And honestly, man, for the first time in years, I could breathe. I was home. I was safe. My mom, who lives with me and is high risk, was safe. I was still doing my job and doing it well, actually doing it better. I was still supporting my team. I was, just doing it virtually. And for a few months, it actually worked. But then the C-suite decided we weren't doing our jobs from home. And never mind that we were hitting our metrics. Never mind that the work was actually getting done and actually being done quicker. They decided that if they couldn't see us in stores, we weren't working. And I'm sure you've experienced the same thing during that time. And so they mandated everyone go back to traveling, back to in-person store visits, back to in-person trainings. So here's the kicker though. Stores, especially in my region, were literally closing every single day because of COVID outbreaks. People were getting sick. Sick, dying, but corporate didn't care. They needed butts and seats and boots on the ground. And I'm sitting in my home office looking at this email, and then I look across the room at my mom, my high risk mom, who I love more than anything. And I'm thinking, they want me to risk her life for this job? I told them my situation. They didn't care. They wanted me back in the stores, traveling, risking my life, risking her life. And listen, the answer was clear. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I was able to put off going into stores, and I started looking for another job because, I wasn't about to quit without a plan. I'm strategic, not reckless, had bills still, but I knew I had to get out of there. And that company had shown me exactly how much they value their people. And it was not at all. So I found what I thought was the perfect job. It was in talent acquisition at a major hospital where they prayed during our meetings. There was no travel required. It was the healthcare industry. Surely they'd value employee safety, right? It seemed like a no-brainer, like this was the perfect job. So I started the job feeling hopeful, feeling relieved, like I'd escaped something very toxic and landed somewhere better, actually. I was wrong. A few months in, the C-suite, the C-suite, because of course it's always the C-suite, they decided to make major changes to the entire HR process. And I'm not talking about small tweaks. I'm talking about a complete overhaul of how we interview, how we hire, and how we onboard employees. And sis, oh my gosh, this change was horrible. It was horrible. It added so many unnecessary steps. I mean, we already had enough unnecessary steps to begin with, and this added even more steps. It prolonged the entire hiring process, which in healthcare, when you're trying to fill critical positions like respiratory therapists and nurses during a pandemic, that really matters. And candidates were dropping out because the process took way too long. Hiring managers were blaming us, of course, right? Patients obviously were being affected. And my colleagues and I, we could see it clear as day. We were living it every single day. We were the ones in the trenches trying to make this crazy broken system work. So we did what you're supposed to do in a functional organization. We shared our concerns, right? We documented the challenges. We explained to our supervisors, our immediate direct reports, how this new process was causing massive stress, inefficiencies, and real harm to our ability to serve the organization. But here's the thing about me. I can't keep my mouth shut, girl. I can't keep my mouth shut when something is wrong. So I didn't just complain to my colleagues. I actually emailed the director of HR directly. I know. I can't help it. It was a professional email. It was data backed. It was solutions oriented, right? I wasn't just complaining just to complain. I was letting them know exactly how you're supposed to escalate concerns up the chain. I was letting them know exactly how the change was affecting us as a team. And that's when I became a target. Y'all, the retaliation was swift. Suddenly, every little thing I did was being scrutinized. Immediately. My supervisor, who had been fine with me before, I was getting praise for the work I was doing. I had the most new hires. My close rate for jobs was amazing. But then Brother Man became colder. He was more critical. It was like I'd committed some kind of crime. And, I had my notes. And so I was doing my job well, basically. But all of a sudden, nothing I did was right. And I wasn't the only one feeling it. My colleagues, the one who had been there for years, they had been there for years, way before I had started, they started quitting. One by one, they had enough. They saw the writing on the wall. They knew this toxic leadership wasn't going to change. And our team dwindled down to almost nothing. It was crazy. So that added more work to our workload, those of us who remained. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I was drowning. All of us were drowning. And the stress was insane. I was working and I was at home. I was working 10 to 12 hours a day trying to keep up. I was exhausted. I was snapping at my family. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating right. I was gaining weight. My body was in constant fight or flight mode. And I could really feel it. I felt like I was headed for a nervous breakdown or something. I had never felt like that before. And so I did what I should have done months earlier. And that was I took a week off, right? I didn't answer any emails. I just disconnected. And I tried to remember what it felt like to be human instead of some corporate machine. And that week saved my sanity temporarily. So I come back from my week off. First day back, we have a team meeting, standard stuff, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I can do this. I took some time off. I'm recharged. I can handle this now. Even got a shout out for hiring the most new hires before my time off. Cool. Awesome. Then the meeting ends and my supervisor messages me, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And I'm like, okay, sure. Y'all, this man, we were on Google Meet. This man proceeds to try and write me up for things that allegedly happened while I was out. Let me say that again. He tried to discipline me for things that supposedly happened during the time I was off. He's going through this list of concerns and issues, and I'm sitting there like, I wasn't even here. Like I wasn't here. Make it make sense. How am I responsible for things that happen when I was on an improved time off? Like, I don't get it. But here's the beautiful thing though. And if you work in HR, I had the receipts, right? We document everything, every email, every timestamp, every piece of documentation that proved I wasn't at fault. I pulled it right up in the meeting. Bam, showed it to him. And I looked at him and said, I am not signing anything. And he kept saying, it's not a write-up. Dude, I've been in HR for too long. I know what you're doing. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the blatant attempt to push me out because I had dared to speak up about this broken system. And in that moment, sitting in my office, something inside of me just clicked. It just clicked. I thought about my mom who never stood up for herself, who just let people treat her like she didn't matter. And when I say that, I mean in jobs, right? She spent her whole life accepting whatever scraps that her jobs threw at her. And I thought, that is not going to be me. Not today. Not ever. So I had a conversation with my family. I told them everything. I told them about the retaliation. I told them about the gaslighting, the write-up attempt, all of it. And I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next, but I know I can't stay here. And you know what they said? Then don't. So I quit. I gave my notice on Tuesday and I was done Friday. Okay. I was done Friday. I had no backup plan fully in place. I had no guaranteed incomes. I had been coaching here and there, but not consistently enough to warrant, a full-time salary. I just had faith in the knowledge that staying was literally killing me. And I never looked back. Was I scared? Absolutely. Terrified. Did I have moments of panic about money? Absolutely. Yeah, you better believe it. But you know what I didn't have anymore? I didn't have that Sunday night dread. I didn't have those panic attacks in the bathroom, that constant knot in my stomach, that feeling that I was betraying myself every single day. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Now, I'm not telling you this story to say, quit your job tomorrow with no plan. That would be reckless and a little cray-cray. Hey, which, sometimes I can be. And honestly, that's kind of what I did, right? That is what I did. I was reacting instead of planning. And while it worked out for me by the grace of God, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's a smart way to do it. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to do that, because here's what I've learned. The reason I stayed stuck in those toxic situations as long as I did was because I didn't have a financial exit strategy. I didn't know how much I actually needed to save. I didn't know what my real expenses were versus what I could cut. I didn't know how long it would realistically take to replace my income. I didn't know what my walk away number was. The fear of the financial unknown kept me in toxic situations after toxic situations until I literally couldn't take it anymore. And you don't have to do it that way. Please don't do it that way. And so that's why I created the Corporate Exodus Financial Reality Check. A lot of words, but basically it's a complete 31-page workbook that it walks you through the actual numbers, the timelines, the scenarios you need to plan before you make your move. So it's not a leap and pray situation. Typical advice you would get from some 25-year-old who's never had a mortgage. It's not some prosperity gospel, just have faith. We're not doing any of that here, right? Because you have real responsibilities. This is a faith and wisdom guide. So this is trusting God and doing the math, right? So let me tell you what it includes. The 18-month reality check with real timelines, complete financial worksheets so you know your actual numbers. It also includes 3 strategic exit plans so you're not burning bridges like I did. What if scenario plannings for when things actually take a little longer, because it could. And then biblical decision-making frameworks without the toxic positivity. If I had this when I was at the pharmacy being asked to risk my mom's life, or at the hospital being gaslit and targeted, I would have left so much sooner, basically. And it wouldn't have been this financial burden, because what I would have known is that I could afford to leave. I would have had a plan instead of just hoping it will somehow work out. So don't let financial fear keep you trapped in toxicity longer than necessary. Do the work that I didn't do. Okay, learn from your girl. Get the plan I didn't have. The link is right below this video. Let me bring this on home, okay? So here's what those 2 experiences that happened back to back taught me, okay? So the first thing that it taught me was that corporate will sacrifice you without a second thought. Okay? They'll ask you to risk your family's health. They'll ignore your expertise and your input, and they'll retaliate when you speak the truth. And they'll also sleep just fine at night after they've wrung every ounce of productivity out of you. The second lesson that I learned was that speaking up will get you punished in corporate. You can be professional, you can have all the data, you can be right, and you'll get targeted for not staying in your lane and for not keeping your mouth shut. And definitely learned that lesson. The third lesson I learned was that your loyalty means nothing to them. You can be excellent at your job. You can go above and beyond. You can give years of your life to these companies. And the minute you become inconvenient or speak a truth they don't want to hear, you're out of there. The fourth lesson that I learned was they're betting you won't leave. Yeah, that's why they can treat you like this, because they know you need that paycheck. They know you're scared of the unknown, basically. They know the security of corporate, even toxic corporate, feels safer than the uncertainty of stepping out on your own. But here's lesson 5. And this is the most important one. The day that you stop letting fear of the unknown keep you trapped is the day you get your power back. Yeah, that's the day you get your power back. I chose the uncertainty of building something of my own over the certainty of being slowly destroyed by corporate. And sis, that was the best decision I ever made. Now, here's what I need you to understand. The reason I stayed in those situations as long as I did wasn't because I loved the job or believed it would get me, would get me better. I stayed because I was terrified of the financial unknown. What if I can't replace my income? What if I fail? What about retirement? What about the insurance? What about the mortgage? What if my loved ones lose their jobs or lose confidence in me? What if I'm too old to start over? Those things kept me paralyzed. They kept me accepting treatment that I knew was wrong. It's kind of like being in an abusive relationship. And it kept me shrinking myself and tolerating toxicity because at least the paycheck was predictable, right? And I'm not going to lie to you. When I finally quit, I didn't have all my ducks in a row. I was reacting out of desperation, not acting from preparation. And while God covered me and it worked out, I would not recommend doing it that way because here's the real truth. You don't have to choose between faith and financial wisdom. You can trust God and do the math. You can believe in miracles and make a plan. In fact, that's what God expects us to do a lot of times. He gave you a brain for planning, not for holding chaos. So if you're sitting here watching this video or listening to this podcast thinking, I need to leave, but I'm scared. I'm scared about the money. Sis, I get it. That was me. And I'm telling you, do the work I didn't do. Get the plan I didn't have. And that's why I created the Corporate Exodus Financial Reality Check. Make sure you get it. Do the work. Do the worksheets. Face the numbers. Make the plan. Because here's what I know that I wish I had known then. This is what I know now, and I wish I had known then. The fear of the unknown is always worse than the reality. So once you actually do the math, once you actually see what you need and then create a plan to get there, that paralyzing fear loses its power over you. And when the fear loses the power over you, you get yours back. So if you're in a toxic corporate situation right now, whether it's being asked to risk your family's health, if you're being retaliated against for speaking your truth out in work, being gaslit, being overlooked, being undervalued, or you're just slowly dying inside, you don't have to stay. But you also don't have to leap without looking. You can be wise about this. You can be strategic. You can be faithful all at the same time. So make sure you get the workbook. I will put a link below, and make sure that you take my free faith-based coach quiz. Listen, if you don't even know what you do outside of corporate, that will help you see all the possibilities that you have right now, right? You can't see it right now because you're drowning and you're in it. So make sure you also subscribe to this channel, follow this podcast, because every single week I'm showing up here to tell you the truth about corporate, about transitioning out of corporate, and finally building something that honors who God created you to be instead of destroying you in the process. And listen, I want you to know something. You're not crazy for wanting out, and you're not ungrateful. You're not weak. You're not tough enough. You're awake. And awakening is the first step to freedom. The second step is planning. The third step is moving. So you got this, sis. You got this. And I am here to help you do it the right way, with faith, with wisdom, and with a plan that actually works. So I'll see you in the next video. All right, beautiful. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, All right, I am so ready to stop talking about this and actually do something about it. Then here's what I need you to do right now. Head on over to businesschurchlife.com. That's businesschurchlife, all one word.com. And that's where you'll find everything you'll need to turn that corporate experience into the coaching ministry that you've been called to build. Now, whether you're just getting started or you're ready to dive deep, I've got resources waiting for you that'll help you stop spinning your wheels and start making some real progress. And hey, if this episode hit you right in the feels, do me a favor, leave me a quick rating and a review, then share it with another woman who needs to hear this message. Those reviews help more women find us, and we're building a movement here that starts with women just like you who are brave enough to bet on themselves. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, stop making excuses and start making moves.